Welcome, friends, to the Someone Gets Me podcast. I am your host, Dianne A, and I am so delighted that you're here. This podcast was created because I believe there is a visionary leader inside each one of us who is waiting to be seen. In each episode of Someone Gets Me, you will hear useful tips from successful visionaries who will share their stories about how being seen has allowed them to take their vision out into the world with action. Why high-achieving, gifted adults struggle with food, overwhelm, and self-regulation. Hi, friends. It's Dianne here at Someone Gets Me. And today, this is episode 2 of a 3-part series about food noise and gifted neurodivergent adults. A lot of people have asked me a lot of questions about food and self-regulation and overwhelmed and overeating and all of these things. And so I created this 3-part series in response to the request from many people. So if you're just keying in this week, go back to last week's episode and listen to the first part of this 3-part series. And a couple weeks ago is when I did the episode on food noise itself. All of those links will be in the show notes. And so you want to think about the fact that when you're a successful person, and I work with many of them, that the success doesn't automatically bring peace. In fact, some success adds struggle or adds stress of different kinds. And so sometimes when we're striving for the success or we're looking at it from the outside, there seems to be what I would call a veil. And the veil is that from out here, that person who is successful looks like they have it all together and they're peaceful and everything's great and harmonious on the inside. And a lot of times that's not true. Now, it's true some of the time. These are not meant to be about everybody, but for a lot of people that I run into, it's not totally true because success doesn't always equal peace. Success has lots of different things that go with it. And I remember when I was younger, learning the belief system from the culture around me, that if you're going to be a woman, you couldn't be professional and have a family. Or if you were going to go to college, you had to acquiesce and not do other things. And so it was always an either or kind of way of doing life. And there was never really the understanding that we could carve our own path and create a life of success that also had peace. I remember learning from the adults as I was growing up that success comes at a price and that some people do things that aren't very kosher or maybe even illegal or wrong ethically, even if they're not illegal, in order to get to this place of success that's in their mind. And half the time when people get there, they look around and they're like, is this it? Is this all there is? Or they always want more and more and more. And so that hole keeps getting bigger and bigger. This is one of the reasons why you see all different kinds of addictions in people who are searching outside of themselves for the solutions. And so that whole inside of meaning and importance and connection, it gets bigger and bigger. That hole gets bigger. And so the person then tries to find a way to fill the hole with outside things, which doesn't work. So achievement, when you achieve a lot and you're successful at whatever it is, your nervous system, depending on how hard you work toward it and for how long, can be totally exhausted. And so when that exhaustion kicks in, some people call it burnout. I call it have no more bandwidth. Like I just shut down. My system goes, okay, we're not doing anything right now. And I like flat inside. Normally I'm all bubbly, but when I'm flat, I know my nervous system is saying enough is enough. And so when our external success is driving us and we're not paying attention to our internal nervous system, we can burn out or we can create anxiety or depression. And those are the things that don't go very well with peace, right? So we want to learn how to have an internal locus of control. Because when you focus on the outside of you, pleasing a boss, pleasing a loved one, pleasing anything outside of you, you end up being internally depleted, meaning your gas tank, so to speak, on the inside is empty. You know, I learned many years ago in some of my metaphysical work, and I believe I heard it the first time from Michael Beckwith, and it was the whole idea of giving from the overflow. And I immediately saw one of those really cool fountains. And I'm thinking the water that comes from the lake or whatever it is with the fountain is giving from its overflow. And I'd say that to myself, and I still teach that we want to fill up our own inner landscape, our own inner self, so that we're not depleted. And then we give away the extra, but we don't give away that principle. We don't allow ourselves any longer to be depleted. Now, so many successful people have allowed themselves get depleted because they think time is of the essence, or they have to hurry, or we're taught to push and push and push and be like a machine. You are not a human doing. You, my gifted friend, are a human being. And so once we learn to get off that merry-go-round and challenge some of those beliefs that don't work, we can begin to fill our inner resources back up, which means we can have external success while having internal fullness and happiness and satisfaction. And really, that's what it's all about anyway. When we're constantly trying to perform or go, 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 right? That performance energy that a lot of us have been trained to do. And sometimes we do it because we're really trying to make it, because maybe we have some existential fear or something. That performance energy can drain us very quickly because we have to mask and we have to push. And those are things that are not natural for any human, but they're certainly not natural for gifted people. And so the longer we live disconnected from who we are, then the more of a negative consequence we pay. The more exhausted we have, the more sadness we have, the more depression and even anxiety we have. Years ago, when I was in my 20s, I was very disconnected from who I was and what I was about because of lots of life events. And I look back on that now and I realized that I had a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety. And I didn't understand. I thought I was mentally ill or something was wrong with me. And everybody kept saying, oh, you're fine, you're good, you're smart. And inside I'm thinking, no, I'm not fine. No, you're not seeing the real me. And so I was so disconnected from me, and other people couldn't see the real me. And so that disconnection really fed into lots of kind of chaos internally in my life. And that showed up on the outside too, until I started doing the healing work to put things back together in a way that was meaningful. So that hidden hunger that we have, that yearning that we have as humans to be connected to others, to be connected to our sense of meaning and purpose and what we're here on earth sucking air for, right? To be connected to our own calling and to our tribe or our community, to create that sense of belonging beyond just one or two people, right? And that hunger we have, I think, too, for understanding, to be not only understood, but to be able to be understanding, but to have somebody who gets us, right? That's the name of the show, Someone Gets Me. And that hunger for real connection, not just superficial connection. That hunger in all of us gifted adults can lead to existential loneliness. It can lead to fears. And really, all it's about is filling up our battery on the inside so that we can give from our overflow and learn how to connect with others, learn how to have a sense of belonging, and connect to our own meaning and vision and purpose, and allow it to emerge. So you might know your purpose, you might know your mission, but if you're not walking toward it, if you're not allowing it to literally emerge like a lily out of the lake, right? If you're not allowing it to emerge, then all you're doing is squishing it down and creating depression and probably acid reflux and, constipation and all kinds of stuff because you're blocking it up. It's time to let the real you and the real vision emerge. Now, people tell me all the time, and clients and everybody tell me all the time, well, I can't do that. I have to do this and that and this and that and have all these responsibilities, and I'll wait till this and or I'll wait till that. Well, I'll tell you that all those excuses, though they have three-dimensional value in some cases, really are kind of cheap, because the truth is that once we say yes to our higher calling and we say yes to our vision, and we at least take the little tiny baby steps, that little beginning of momentum helps orchestrate other things to come into play for us. In fact, when we have more momentum, we get more resources, people show up, we become more productive because we're heading in the direction we want to, and we're alive and inspired. So it matters that we say yes, and it matters that we realize that we can, in fact, go where we want to go and do what we want to do. Now, the timing may look different than you think, and it's always going to show up differently than you can see in the beginning. And I think what matters is that we say yes and we start to do it. We keep reaching for more out of an empty hole. And when we do that, we create addiction, we create more food noise, we create more overwhelm, we create more dysregulation and anxiety, because we're reaching into an empty void trying to get substance. And it doesn't work that way. So if you have a lifetime or even many years of ignoring that inner self and depleting your inner self, going after some kind of success, whether it's a societal or personal definition or belief or something, then that depletion starts to play out and ripple out into other areas of your life. And that would be why you would need other people to help us out. Like, all of us need somebody in our corner outside of ourselves. Gifted people particularly really thrive when there is another person kind of walking the walk with us, doing the thing. When I've had people working with me that are kind of like side by side with me, metaphorically or personally, like right there physically, then I get more work done and I'm more focused and I'm more satisfied, because there is value in that connection and belonging. That's why with all the people that I work with, they can call me when they want to, or text message me, or I have some people that are not in the United States, and so they use WhatsApp, but they know that there's always that lifeline in that connection. Why? Because connection is the correction. And if we can feel connected to someone who believes in us, then we will have more peace. We will begin to fill up that hole that we created, searching for something to fill the hole, but yet it just keeps not being the right thing. So it's really quite fascinating when you think about it, when we give ourselves permission to come out of overwhelm and come out of this constant thrashing like a machine, and settle down and realize we're human beings, not human doings. Now, there's kind of an interesting cycle, I guess, sometimes, as we get all inspired, we get a vision, we get all inspired, we go after it, we work. And then what happens? We start looking for some kind of relief from the shame and the push, and we get exhausted, and then we go back again, right? And so it goes into this cycle of, we get inspired, we work really hard, we get burned out and exhausted, then we feel shame, or we're mad at ourselves, or we feel guilty or something, and then we don't feel very good, and then we give ourselves some kind of sensory relief. That's where food noise comes in. And, or, like, we'll overeat at night, and when we're not really hungry, we've already eaten and it's almost time for bed, or we're kind of bored at night, and so food will fill that spot. And some people will eat extra donuts if they bring them to the office, because they're free, when you don't even need the other donut. One's enough. You don't need 10, right? But that's what happens, is I'm going to grab at whatever it is to try to fill the hole, when the hole can only be filled by purpose and meaning and breath. That's what the hole is filled with: purpose and meaning, and breathing, and saying yes to your higher calling. The outside things don't do it. So that temporary soothing, that temporary medicating of that desire to emerge something amazing, will eventually lead to feeling more shame and more upset, which then causes more overwhelm and more exhaustion. So as you see, that the overwhelm and the food noise and the exhaustion comes because somebody's not regulated. And if our nervous system's not regulated, because we're exhausted and we're spent and we're masking, and our inner world is a desolate landscape because we haven't put any investment into the inside, then of course it's going to be this vicious cycle. And so food noise and food issues often come because somebody is still struggling with connecting to their inner value and what's trying to emerge. because that person is also overwhelmed because of the cycle they have themselves stuck in and they're not sure how to get out of it. I hear that almost every day. And then the person is not regulated, which is one of the reasons why I give homework for self-regulation, and we do safe and sound protocol and other things to help the person become more regulated. I know when I'm dysregulated, first thing I want to do is go eat, and I don't even need food. So I know if I go stand in front of that refrigerator and open the door and just kind of look, I'd say to self, Dianne, hello in there. You're not regulated for some reason. You're searching outside of yourself for an answer that's on the inside. So I kind of smile now and go sit down and do some journaling or do some drawing and realize and ask myself, what is it that you're looking for and need? Because it's not food. But we have to learn how to do that. And we have to give ourselves some grace for all the years that we fed it with food and medicated and still never got to the result we wanted because we were covering it up with food or other kind of addiction. So that's what I want us to start to think about. That food noise and the struggle we have often has to do with being overwhelmed or overstimulated, while we also have this big hole inside because we're disconnected from who we are and what our essence is. That most gifted people live in their brains so much of the time that they don't even have an awareness of exactly what it is they need. So I want you to take a couple breaths with me and let's try to just settle into this and ask yourselves, how full am I? Is my internal landscape all yummy and wonderful and beautiful and lush, or does it kind of feel more like a prickly desert? There's no wrong answer, and it's important that we're honest. Because if we want to continue to be a high-achieving, gifted person, and we want to bring our gift to the world, we need to have a balance and a regulated system that works in our favor, not against us. And so if we're operating with that secret pain of disconnection or emptiness on the inside, that existential loneliness, and we're always having to overcome that in order to do the thing we're here to do, we will exhaust ourselves and burn ourselves out, and then the shame cycle starts all over. So I want to invite you to breathe into who you are and what you're about. If you're feeling that inner emptiness, give me a call. I'm happy to help you in any way I can. Because I think what matters most is that we realize as gifted, talented, high-achieving, motivated, inspired people that we are here to make a difference in the world, like really. And every time we say yes to expanding or growing or being more authentically ourselves, every time we say yes, even if it's a little tiny thing, we make this world a better place. And I think that that's what high-achieving, gifted people are here to do. So pay attention. Next week, we're going to have the third episode of this whole series on food noise. I hope this is serving you. Make a get to know you call with me if you want to, or just share this episode in any way. If you have any questions or any topics that you'd like me to talk about, leave a note in the show notes, take a comment, and I will be happy to answer them. So remember, put your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you're a rock star. You're here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there and let your light shine. Allow yourself to live from the inside out. Until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well. Thank you for listening. I trust you gained some valuable inspiration and information. Please join me and other visionaries in the Someone Gets Me Facebook group. Or for more information on my services and additional episode's, visit someonegetsme.com. Again, thanks for listening.